Good morning, everyone. I just want to make a few remarks at the outset about our choice of theme for this year's conference, Living in the Eugenic Past, and our ambitions for the day. There we are. So, as many of you will know, 2022 marks the bicentenary of the birth of two men whose work has mattered hugely for the science of human heredity, indeed the science of heredity as such, Gregor Mendel and Sir Francis Galton. And there's an obvious sense in which we've decided not to hold a meeting about these men and their legacies, but there's another sense in which that's precisely what we're doing, because the eugenic past is shot through with Mendel as well as Galton. And that's especially true of this organization's eugenic past, as was brought out in this amazing book published 30 years ago, Pauline Mazumdar's Eugenics, Human Genetics, and Human Failings, a superb study of the history of the Eugenics Society. And I just want to share with you a moment from the book in which Mazumdar gives us a little bit from the presidential address from one of Turey's predecessors, the splendidly named Montague Crackenthorpe, in 1910. So at that time, there were still lingering hostilities between the followers of Mendel, called the Mendelians, and the followers of Galton, called the biometricians. And Montague Crackenthorpe presented himself as a peacemaker, trying to get these two groups to resolve their differences in the name of, for the sake of, eugenics. Here's how he put it. It would be 1,000 pities if the Mendelians were to say to the biometricians, "We have no need of you," or if the biometricians were to say to the Mendelians, "We have no need of you." For eugenics requires the services of both. Now, it's tempting when we see passages like this to turn away, to change the subject. And one of the things I've always found so admirable about the Galton Institute, as was the Adelphi Genetics Forum as it is now, is its willingness to go there, right? Not to turn away, not to change the subject, as manifest in the really remarkably high-caliber works of scholarship that it's sponsored over the years on the history of eugenics, as well as the public discussions that it's sponsored. I really do think that's admirable. I can also tell you that these books, many of them are available for free at the registration desk, so you can judge for yourself. But it's an important record, and we hope that today's meeting continues that excellent tradition. At the same time, the theme of living with the eugenic past and that desire not to turn away, not to change the subject, is something that's become more widespread. And so I think this meeting is a timely meeting. I only have time to give you one example, but I think it's an important one. In 2020, in the wake of the killing of George Floyd, the Department of Human Genetics at the University of Chicago published a statement on police violence, racism, and genetics. And I just want to give you a little passage from it. They said, by providing a, quote, scientific justification for the idea that some groups of people are fundamentally different or intrinsically superior to others, genetics and geneticists have rationalized and legitimated white supremacy. We cannot simply disavow this history because many of our field's fundamental concepts and approaches were established for the purpose of advancing eugenics. So we hope that today's meeting will be a positive contribution to a discussion that plainly people want to have about these issues. And to that end, we've suggested 3 questions that might structure our discussions for the day. First, what are the demands of justice when it comes to the victims of eugenics? Secondly, how should universities and other institutions involved in eugenics deal responsibly with that involvement? Thirdly, can present-day biology education and research be improved to help safeguard the future from the mistakes of the past?